Hey guys, welcome to the Elevator Life Show. I'm Tim.
I'm Nick.
And this is a program where we talk about anything and everything to do with young entrepreneurship abroad.
Very cool. Let's jump into it.
Yeah, we wanted to do one more post before I headed home, really about what we've learned about the Chinese business culture, and more specifically, what it's like to do business in this culture with a Chinese business person.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's just like the culture, the business culture, the business negotiations, everything are very, very different. I don't know if I want to say opposite, but very different to how they are in the United States.
Yeah, exactly. When we were first over here a year ago, we definitely got ourselves into trouble with not really understanding how to proceed in some situations. So we'll run through those in this program and really share what we've learned, and hopefully it can be applied to not only China, but really just learning a culture in general and learning to change the way you approach situations.
Exactly. I don't think I would approach any U.S. businessman the way I approach a Chinese businessman. No way.
Exactly. All right, let's get into it. So we're going to go over the 5 tips to dealing with a Chinese business person. The 5 things that we think are most important when you're doing business here, especially in our experience, right?
Yeah, exactly. Starting with number 1, we call it the Chinese yes. And that means you will never hear the word no out of a Chinese businessman's mouth if you ask him a question of something he is or is not capable of.
Exactly. Ask anyone that's doing business here, and they'll all know exactly what you're talking about. For example, we're trying to talk to a distributor to distribute one of the lines of products we're bringing into China. And, oh, can you do this? Yes. Yeah, of course. Okay, well, how can you do this? We will get back to you. And you could very easily not hear from them for a very long amount of time.
Yeah.
Even though you keep pressing them. Oh, yes, we can do this. It's just not the same, dealing with a Western company where you expect to, can we do this? Yeah, we'll look into it. You get back to them a few days later, can you do this? Probably not.
Yeah. Exactly.
They're not straightforward with you like they are back in the States.
In the U.S., yeah, they'll tell you, in the West, they'll look at something and say, yes, we can do this, or no, we can't. In China, I think, it has to do a little bit with face. You never want to admit you can't.
You never want to lose face.
You can't admit you can't do anything. So, one of our manufacturers, we had a lead time of 10 days, guaranteed a lead time of 10 days, turned into 15, 16 days.
Exactly.
And then we still had to do all the QC work, all the quality control, ourselves, just because even though we're guaranteed something, best quality, yes, I guarantee it. A guarantee isn't very much over here, at least in China.
Exactly. It's, it comes down to just being a difference in culture. They hate showing, someone disappointment. And so they don't, if you want them to do something and they're in business with you and you ask them to do something, it's not really in their culture to go, oh, I cannot do that.
Yeah.
Okay? It makes them lose face. They feel it makes them look bad. So it can be frustrating dealing with someone like that when you don't understand that. Because when they say yes, we take that straight up as a literal meaning and we'll move on, just put that in the back of our head, okay, they'll take care of it.
Yeah.
But, as you learn how to do it in this country, you always know to clarify with that. So a yes could possibly mean no.
Yeah.
And so the longer we've been here, the smoother it has gotten for us.
Exactly. It was a frustrating learning curve at first, but we completely understand it now. We know how to approach prospects, and after normally the first sit down, we'll know whether that yes is a genuine yes or to move on to the next one.
Exactly, yeah. All right, moving on.
Yeah. Number 2, importance of deadlines. You want to get started on this one?
Yeah, this is huge. And it's also a very different culture, and I know we called it the importance of deadlines, but of course deadlines are important in America, in any country. But here, it's a slower pace of life, especially in the business. Your business partner likes to get to know you first, get on a relationship level, even most of the times before discussing business. And so, it's just a slower pace, I feel like, with a lot of business deals over here. And so, when you set a deadline, such as a lead time with a manufacturer, so it can be done in 10 days. Yes. Okay, there's that yes again. Okay, I need this. I'm in a hurry. I need this in 10 days. Oh, of course. Okay, you guarantee this is going to be done in 10 days? Yes. Okay, you just need to emphasize strongly the point of deadlines. Okay, just to make them get it to realize it.
Yeah, exactly. I've like email conversations. Just they guaranteed this date. 2 days before that date, email them again. Is it still this date? And they'll say no. It is now this date. It's later. And you just easily, firmly reply. Caps lock helps a lot to kind of show you're serious, you're genuine, you're a little angry. Kind of light a fire under it a little bit. Just say, no, you guaranteed this date. If I do not get this date, deal is off. Normally I can guarantee it'd be done by that date because that's their money. And if they're 50% done with the job, they'll figure out a way to make sure it's done by that date to make sure they get paid.
Exactly. It has a lot to do with emotions as well when you're talking about something like deadlines. In America, if someone's in a rush, you can really sense it in their emotion. Oh, this has to be done, this has to be done. You'll be like, okay, this obviously has to be done. Here it's more, if you tell them once, okay, we understand that.
Yeah.
But, for it to really sink in, you gotta really put it and drive it home for them. Yeah. We had one time when we were in a wine fair a few weeks ago and we were getting our pamphlets printed off. We ran out of pamphlets halfway through and we needed some pamphlets printed off before the show the next morning. And he goes, yes, we can have them by 10 o'clock. Okay, 10 o'clock tomorrow? Yes. Actually, before that happened, it was going to be that night. And then come 12 o'clock, okay, I will have them done by 10. The fair starts at 10. And so we go to pick him up, right? We go to pick him up the next morning. He's not at the shop. Half the pamphlets are done. And he says we can pick the rest up in the afternoon. So it's just something like that where you have to make sure that it's really on your shoulders. It's your, your thing to take care of.
It's your responsibility to make sure they know it is very, very important. And if you don't speak the language, for example, he doesn't speak English, and so he can communicate on Chinese, on a little messenger system they have in China here. But you just have to really make sure the urgency. They recognize the urgency and they know, okay, I need to get this done.
Yeah, one quick point about the things that we're talking about today is in no way are we pointing these out to be negatives of the Chinese culture.
Yeah.
This is all supposed to be advice for a businessman working here, and as a businessman working in their country, it is your responsibility to understand these cultural differences and work around them.
Very true. You can get as frustrated or as angry as you want, but at the end of the day, you're in their country.
Exactly. We've been frustrated by these many times, but it's our responsibility working here to learn the system and really learn how it works.
Yeah, learn how it works, and if you want to take advantage of these opportunities, then you're going to learn to roll with it, and that's what we've done.
Okay, yeah. So emphasizing deadlines. This kind of rolls us into our third one, which is the use of force. And no, we do not mean physical force on this one.
Not physical force, don't touch them.
Yeah, what do we mean, Nick?
We just mean very much driving home the point, like we've said, and making sure that they know that, like we've just previously said in the importance of deadlines, they have to do this. It is necessary. It is, like Tim said, it's kind of laid back here, and they don't fully understand, but again, it's your job to make sure they understand. It's not aggressive, but it's, being very forceful with them. Making sure, you can guarantee me this, they can repeat it back to you. You say it again, they'll repeat it back to you. It's a very back and forth process.
Yeah, it's really driving your point home, and you'll know something that you can get, or is rightly yours, and for some, rules that are set, they go, oh, I cannot do this for you today. No, they can. You just have to drive the point home and really clear it up for them to help them think through it. For example, we were owed some money from one of our business partners 2 days ago, and I'm going home, so I wanted to pick it up before I went home. They owed us money. I needed to go get that money. And they go, no, we will pay you on this weekend. That is when we thought we would see you. Well, no, you owed me it this week, and so I should be able to come pick it up right now. And their straight answer was, no, well, you can't come until this weekend. And I was like, okay, I'm coming into the office. I will talk to you and the manager when I get in the office. And then right then I get a call. Oh, okay, we will pay you today. Just come down to the office. And so it's just, you just got to really drive home your point. And when they say, oh, don't do this or don't do this, just be like, drive home what you're getting at and make it clear for them to understand, and then you'll get what you want.
Yeah. Be very firm.
Very firm. That's really what number 3 is all about. Be firm and repetitive with what you want.
Yeah. Not angry, not mean, just firm. And make sure if they say no, and it's something like in Tim's case, they owed him this. And no, you owe me this, I'm getting it. And if not, I'll come there to discuss it. And normally maybe it's to them an inconvenience, but they don't understand inconveniencing others sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's why you just have to say, no, this is how it's happening, and we'll discuss it when I see you. And more often than not, everything works out fine. So
Exactly. So far we've got the Chinese yes. They do not like to say no. A yes does not necessarily mean yes. Okay, you really got to dig deep into the negotiation and find out what they're actually saying, and if they're actually capable of what they're saying they can do for you. Number 2 is the importance of deadlines. Deadlines are important. As we all know in business, they're extremely important to what you do, to staying on time with your customers and staying on time with your orders. So in China, when you're working with a manufacturer, you really got to hit home, have it written down, have follow-up meetings, have follow-up calls to make sure they're on schedule and they know when it has to be done, and everything will be fine. And number 3 is the use of force, or more to say, be firm and repetitive with your requests.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all these points kind of, align with each other in regards to it's all about you having to understand it and adapt. And that's what all 3 of these are so far.
Exactly, yeah, for sure.
Number 4, this is more of a lighter one, is...
Actually, I want to go back to number 3 to kind of clear it up. It's more use of force, but don't let them push you around just because you're in their country.
Yeah.
Like if they tell you something, they go, no, you can't do this, but you really think you can, try to go get it, and most of the times you can. Just really go for it and push for what you want.
Especially if you've done it before. We've done things before. They've done things for us before. A company we worked with, and then a week later say, no, we can't do that.
Exactly.
And
yes.
if you say, no, we did it last week, and they'll say, no, it is different now.
Yeah, no, your lead time's 2 weeks. No, your manager said it was 1 week.
Yeah.
No, we cannot do that fast. You told me you can do that fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like that. Just get what you want and do not let them push you around.
Exactly.
Be firm.
Get what you were promised.
Exactly.
Get what you were promised.
Moving on. Number 4. This is one that I love about business in China compared to business in America. What is it?
It's the business with pleasure and the importance of relationships. And this is very, very different from the West because, compared to in the Western world where you'll have meetings in the AM or maybe over lunch or maybe early afternoon in the workday. Here in China, a lot of business gets done, a lot of relationships are built in the evening. Out to a nice Chinese dinner, and then more often than not, out to one of those karaoke bars we discussed in a prior episode about going out and playing games, drinking, and really getting to know the person you're going to work with. Because it's important to them, like Tim specified earlier, to build a relationship with the person they're going to work with. They like to like you. They like it to be a friendly but professional relationship.
Yeah, exactly. We did a speaking conference earlier this week at a foreign studies university, and this was one of their main questions was, what is the business culture? How is it different between America, or the Western world and China? And this is really what we talked a lot with them about, was the relationship style of business. When are meetings held? How are meetings held in each country? And yeah, exactly. Trust is the basis of business relationships here.
Yeah.
It's built on trust. They don't feel comfortable talking into serious negotiations with someone that they're not in a good relationship with, someone that they don't personally like on a personal level. And so that's why you'll find, before almost even talking business, even, negotiating or anything like that, anything's put on the board, you'll find yourself out to dinner, going to the KTV, going to those kind of clubs, and enjoying the culture, enjoying each other's company, learning from each other about the differences from where you're from before even sitting down and talking business.
A lot of it will be personal questions as well. Where you're from, about your family, how long you've been in China, what do you think of China? Some rather heavy questions about Chinese politics or the trade regulations between China and the U.S. And you can parry those off if you want, or laugh them off and change the topic. We've done it before because, sometimes they ask questions that are, I guess, a little weird or a little personal.
That you wouldn't normally ask back home.
Exactly. Yeah. So the fun part of doing business in China is really getting to know who you're going to be working with.
That's what I like.
Exactly.
You know, you really get into the culture. Like, you get to like who you're working with, and it puts you on a good level moving forward. Mm-hmm. But speaking back to the deadlines, it's not always good for you if I'm trying to get this deal done, and he wants to go out to dinner. He wants to go out to dinner 3 times this week.
Yeah.
But I really want to move this forward. It can be frustrating in that fact. But overall, it's a good touch on the business world, to really get involved into a relationship with who you're dealing with.
Exactly. And one small piece of advice: do not negotiate or sign anything at the KTV.
Ever.
KTV, because the Chinese are very, very good at drinking. It's it's called baijiu. It's white wine, but it's really 50-60% liquor, and somehow they can drink it with no problem. Foreigners drink a bit, and it's no good later that night. So definitely, obviously you'll loosen up on your negotiations while they're staying sharp. So make sure
it stays on a personal level.
Exactly. They'll say sometimes before anything happens, they'll say tonight is just fun, and then that's when okay, no business. We're just gonna have a good night.
A good trick, actually. A colleague of ours, we don't work with him, but he gives us a lot of advice. Told us to do in a situation like this is if someone keeps putting you off, keeps delaying a deadline, or keeps putting a meeting off, invite to take them out to dinner. And it's their culture, they have to say yes. If you invite them out to dinner, they have to say yes, and they will be obliged to say yes. When you go out to dinner, don't negotiate business, but schedule a meeting. Schedule a meeting that they have been dodging you on for that deadline. Schedule, when you're around the table, sit with them, having a good time. Oh, by the way, I will come into your office tomorrow at 12 so we can talk, okay? And since you are out to dinner, they don't like losing face, they will say yes.
Yep.
So you then have the in to go into the office and talk about business the next day.
Yeah, so that's just a little roundabout way of getting in there, but the important thing is you're getting that meeting. So
Exactly. Okay, so we got the Chinese yes, they don't like to say no. The importance of deadlines, the use of force, being firm, really getting what you want. Do not be pushed around. And then the idea, business with pleasure. Mm-hmm. Number 5.
Number 5 is getting clarity across.
Exactly.
Talk about this?
Yeah, we've touched on this a few times throughout this conversation, and it's really about the difference in culture and the difference in language, all that stuff. That when you are sitting down to do business, you have to make sure everything is clear before you leave the table. Mm-hmm. Everything from prices to lead times to where they're being delivered, when they're being delivered, everything, and you have to make sure everything is included. Okay, so no pop-ups. What if this happens? Who's going to cover it? It's like in any kind of business, any kind of culture. Make sure that gets written down before you leave the table. But I think it's more important than back in the Western culture, because you're speaking, for the most part, each other's second language. Depending on what, we're both not speaking fluently. So make sure everything is clear before you move forward.
Definitely, like you said, a final price. A final price, no ifs, ands, or buts. And if so, it's not coming out of our end. That's a big thing. A final price down that, regardless of what happens, I get these products where I need them for X amount of dollars.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. And as long as it's clear, and as long as everybody involved understands, and it's like I said, you've gone back and forth a few times, and then then there's nothing else up to you that you can do. It's just simply, this is what needs to be done, and as long as both parties understand, you're on your way to a good business relationship.
Yeah, just be clear, guys. Just be clear. We'll end this conversation on a little story of ours. I feel like at this point in time, in our presence over here, we're pretty good at reading signals. We can go out to dinner, read his interest level, read if this is going to be a serious meeting, where it's going to go. But in the beginning over here, the opposite was true.
Oh yeah.
We got involved with a company that was going to make some cases for us, and it ended some tablet cases, and we tried to make sure everything was in order, to the best of our ability. And it turns out when the sample looked good, the sample looked great, the sample was perfect, fit everything. But then when the shipment came, they didn't go to America, but when the shipment came out and they were finished, they didn't fit. They didn't fit the tablet.
They literally were the wrong case.
Yeah, it was the wrong case, and we had sat down before this and designed them with them, and it turned out they had the wrong dimensions for the actual tablet they said they could make a case for.
Exactly. That's another. You have this tablet. Yes, it's not here yet, but you say you have the dimensions. You know, we've seen your prototype, and this is based off the dimensions. Yes.
You know, a lot of it was our fault, but the funny thing is they advertised their manufacturing company as someone that makes that product.
Yeah.
And so it's just a little, you know, that, you know, put us weeks and weeks behind.
Grant, this was a few months into, you know,
into
what we
China.
had started. Yeah. So, right, we were amateurs.
Yeah, but it was just a good story about how everything must be clear. One more thing I actually want to hit on is the, you know, of being clear, but also watching over what's being done with your products, because a lot of times we've seen sometimes they will cut, Chinese people, they would love to cut corners and save a penny where they can. And so even if you decide on a design, make sure it's that design that you decide on. That the exact cloth, the exact material is used that you first set out to. Because if they feel like they can change it a little bit to save a few cents, there's a very good chance they will.
They'll do it. They'll definitely do it.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that wraps up the 5 tips to dealing with the Chinese businessmen. Obviously, there's a lot more, but we think those 5 are the most useful for getting started over here in China, because, you know, these are things we ran into, and these are things we now know how to adequately deal with.
Yeah, exactly. You know, just dealing moreover, not just China, just in business in another culture. You're a guest in their culture. It's up to you to learn their culture and how to do business with them. Mm-hmm. It's never their fault. And so if you're not even dealing with business in China, if you're dealing with whatever country you are, make sure to learn their culture. You know, respect their culture.
And, you know, everything should go well. That's it for this episode.
That's it. Guys, wish me luck on my flight home. I'll see you guys stateside.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
See ya.